Who was it that suggested that you take honors classes?
Oh, the kids in choir.
Oh, the kids in choir? Well, one thing that we had talked about was that when, especially like today, with so many like classes having so many kids in them, right? And the teachers having to pay attention to so many different kids and what's happening over there. Like in high school, you've told us in the past that it gets difficult, like to pay attention because you have kids that are, taking the attention away from the teacher, and then the teacher has a hard time teaching, and then it's hard for you to learn what you're supposed to learn, and then you feel like you're falling behind, and it's just stressful. Is that right? Or how do you feel like in the past when you were in classes?
When I was in classes like that, it wasn't that I would struggle. It was just more, I don't think I learned fully how it worked. Like in Spanish last year, like she was a really nice teacher, but the kids in there were always loud and noisy, and it was hard to learn, and it would be hard for her to teach. So there would be days where she couldn't teach anything, and it wasn't easy. I was still really good in the class because I would do like studying a little bit and stuff, but like if I didn't study, I don't think I would have been.
It just makes it harder to learn like that. Yeah, I could see that. And then when you started taking the honors classes this year, what's the difference that you've noticed between the classes last year and taking honors classes this year?
The classes that I take this year, they're much more focused. There are some classes where they're noisy, but they're not like noisy to the point where she can't teach. She's really good at teaching. So
yeah,
it's just like they're much more focused.
Yeah, and that's a great point because that's one thing that we didn't really think about until I think your mom and I went to your like the open house where we got to walk through the school. And we were just kind of thinking like, yeah, honors classes isn't something that you just get put into, right? You have to pick to take honors classes, So if you think about the kids that are just going to get put into classes, a lot of times if they're having trouble at home or, they're not really focused on school or, like they're just getting put into classes with everybody else. But the type of kid that's going to take an honors class is probably somebody that's more focused on school. Their parents probably pay a little bit more attention and try to help them and notice when something's going on and all these things. And you have a different type of kid in class that wants to learn. It's not somebody that is frustrated with school, that maybe is more worried about, being hungry or the problems that they're going to have when they get home or whatever. You get to learn a little bit more. And is it any harder? Like, or do you feel like it's more challenging taking the honors classes?
Well, the very first year, like my freshman year, I was in a regular math class, and then throughout the year, my math teacher said that I should switch. And it's funny because I would be in the honors class the second semester, and there would be kids that are in regular, and we are literally on the exact same page. Like we have the exact same homework.
So you guys weren't any further ahead?
No. I don't know what's the difference. I mean, in chemistry this year, apparently there are kids that aren't learning what we're learning. Like we're learning more difficult stuff, and they're learning more like the fun side in a way. We're actually getting into like science.
Okay. Well, maybe it's like for that, maybe there's like a different techniques in how they're teaching, but it seems like you guys are all learning the same stuff either way.
Yeah. I don't think it's difficult. But that's just me. I don't know how it is for other kids.
Yeah.
But if you understand most things, then I would take honors because it's not that hard. I barely get any homework. And I always thought, like, in junior high, I would hear kids staying up till 2 a.m. doing their homework. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing honors. Nope, never. Yeah. And then in high school, they're like, it's not that hard. They just move a bit faster. I would recommend taking honors. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to take honors.
Yeah. And do you feel, like we were saying earlier, like that you get more attention, like if you need help? Is there more of a benefit to taking honors?
I would say the GPA is a benefit because if you're good, like you keep up with your work, you probably could have a A or like a high B, and your GPA, it would go up a bit more than usual because it's weighted. The help, that's just like with anything, asking for help, that's going to get you further ahead. Because if you don't ask for help, you're not going to get anything. If you're struggling, like, so there's no really difference between the benefit of like help or like learning, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
It's just you need to ask for help. If you don't ask, you're not going to get ahead. You're just going to stay where you are.
Yeah, you got to ask for the help if you need it. And that's something that you have to learn how to do. A lot of people don't like asking for help, or they wait for somebody else. And there's been so many times I remember in school where you want to say something, you don't say anything, and then somebody in front of you asks the question that you were about to ask, and you're like, oh, thank goodness they asked that question because I had the same question, and it's like, well, nothing happened. Just ask the question. It's not that big of a deal, Yeah. But I think more than anything, the whole attitude around taking the honors class, the teachers teaching the honors class, the students taking the honors class, I think the whole attitude around the whole thing can really shift a kid's learning. Because if you have kids that are voluntarily taking a class that people seem to look at as a little bit harder, and they're voluntarily taking that, which means that they're somebody that wants to learn. And teachers, I think, for the most part, get into teaching because they want kids to learn. They want to teach something. So if you have a class of kids that want to learn and teachers that want to teach, that teach the honors classes, I think that's a pretty good combination, and you're probably going to get a good class of kids to learn. And, when you think about Arizona and our school system and the ranking and everything, like you look Arizona up, and I don't know if it's changed in the past few years, but it was not good. Like we were like 49 out of 50 or something like that. But I think that even when maybe we're not the best schools in the country, or we're not the best schools in the country, if doing little things like this, you can still get a decent education. Like no matter what, the bottom line is, if the kids want to learn, they can learn.